Video games. I love video games, and I've been playing them for most of my life. So I thought this April Fool's, rather than doing a practical joke, I'd just do something sort of random and off topic, like counting down my favorite games. Now, keep in mind, I am an animated film reviewer. This is not something I could base a whole show on. One, because I'm really picky about the games I play, and also I'm one of those psychotic people that have to do everything. Yes, I am still playing Skyrim. No, there is no end in sight. My point is, while I'm more than willing to watch even really horrible animated films, I'm less willing to play even good games in genres I'm not interested in. Now, having said that, let's get started. I have my controller, on to the countdown. If anything emphasizes that I am an animated film reviewer doing a game list, it's the game at my number 10 spot.
Kingdom Hearts. Here is a game that came completely out of nowhere with a really bizarre concept. Square Enix, then still Squaresoft, and Disney teaming up to produce a game to cross over their franchises. Final Fantasy and Mickey Mouse don't belong in the same universe, let alone the same game. Still, even though I was going through an I hate Disney phase when this game came out, seeing as I was about 15 or 16 years old, I did still like the Final Fantasy series, so I decided to give Kingdom Hearts a try. And I absolutely loved it. If anything, it was one of the reasons I started to come around to Disney again, because it reminded me of how much I love the classic films. Is it as corny as you might think? Absolutely, and this game gets cheesier the more you play it, but I wouldn't expect anything less of a game that teams you up with Donald Duck and Goofy. Still, it's a ton of fun, and I have to admit it's pretty cool to wander through the sets of some of your favorite Disney movies. Now, you might be wondering what I think of the sequel. I don't really care for it. The difficulty is really botched up, and one thing I liked about the original was that when you entered a new world, it didn't feel like they tried to give you a shortened version of the movie the world was from. All of the stories were changed a little so that even though they were reminiscent of the original films, it didn't just feel like a shortened version of them. In the sequel, we just get the cliff notes of the movie itself, and I found that really dull.
Not to mention the dark emo look comes off as kind of lame to me. Come on guys, it's Disney. Lighten up.
The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. I was never much into the Nintendo console. I had a Nintendo 64 as a kid, but the only game I played on it was GoldenEye. One of the reasons is I don't really care for platformers all that much, and even as I'm saying this, I realize that platformers make up about 1/3 of my list, but yeah, well, you'll see when I get to the other two. Legend of Zelda is a cult classic, but at least for me, there's no nostalgia there. I did not play this game as a kid. I didn't play it until I was 21, and the guy who loaned it to me assured me that after I did play it, I would think it was better than the game currently at my number 1 spot. Now, obviously that did not happen, but consider it a testament to the game that it made it to the list at all, given that I don't usually like these kinds of games, and by the time I played it, the graphics were really aged. One of the things I found while playing this was that I didn't really care for Kid Link, but once the 7 years passed and he became an adult, I was really invested in this game. I remember going back to the spots to revisit the characters that I had honestly found somewhat annoying and feeling genuinely sad when they weren't there. If a game can make me feel any kind of strong emotions other than disgust, it's something that will most likely stick with me.
Plus, the ocarina music kicks ass. I used to travel to the Fire Temple just to hear Bolero of Fire.
Bioshock. Here's another type of game I didn't play much as a kid, apart from, again, GoldenEye. First-person shooters. This is a type of game that's definitely grown on me since I bought an Xbox 360. Now, that being said, I'm still pretty picky about the kind of FPSs I'll play. Bioshock was one of the first games I played on this console, and damn is it a good one. I remember seeing a trailer for this game and not really knowing what to think about it. Really, that original trailer sums up the mood of the game perfectly, because it has a tone that inspires all sort of conflicting feelings and emotions. Half the time, I really don't know how to feel about this game, and I love that. Apart from that, it has magnificent atmosphere, an excellent story, and it is just plain gorgeous to look at. I get tired of the brownish industrial look in a lot of other FPSs, so it's nice to play in a world with a bit more style. Okami, and this would be platformer number 2. Not unlike The Legend of Zelda when it comes to a lot of the elements of gameplay, given that it is also a platformer with RPG elements, the main character has a tiny annoying sidekick that gives you tips, and so on. There are a lot of similarities, and Zelda is certainly a more challenging game, I think, given that even without any experience with platformers, I've found Okami to be cake. But you know what? I don't care. Personally, I like this game better. Part of it's the look. Okami is a gorgeous, gorgeous game. I love the cel-shaded graphics. This is like an interactive watercolor. Apart from that, the characters and story are very bizarre, very unpredictable, and very charming, and I love the celestial brush.
Zelda may be a stronger platformer, but at least for me, Okami offers a more delightful and memorable experience.
Silent Hill 2 through 4. Yeah, I know it's kind of cheating to put 3 games in one spot, but I really like all of them, and I didn't want them to take up a third of the list. If I had to pick one, it would probably be Silent Hill 2, just because I think it's the best balanced of the 3. But I really like 3 and 4 too. I like 3 because apart from having at least a decent female protagonist, it also had a lot of really creepy set pieces and visuals. It went above and beyond with some of those elements. And, despite it being slightly lacking in some ways, I liked 4 because of the premise. The idea of being stuck inside of your apartment is such a strange one. I can't help but love it. All of these games are really eerie, but I think that one feels the most like walking into one of my nightmares.
I like this game because it has magnificent atmosphere and some well-written plot and characters. For the longest time, I thought the best survival horror game I had ever played was Fatal Frame, but it did not take me long to figure out that that game is severely lacking when put up against this series.